Good evening and welcome to the public participation meeting of February 10th, 2025. We've got some proposed amendments to our subdivision bylaw, and I'm going to hand the floor over to our Director of Planning, Mr. Director Shoup. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and good evening, everyone. Off the top, I want to note that we made an error in posting the ad in the Chronicle Herald. We had it set for Tuesday, the 10th of February. So what I'm proposing tonight, obviously, we're here is to hold it this evening, and I can be here tomorrow night as well. For anyone who may have been confused by our sort of cross message that we sent out. To my understanding, everything on social media was correct for Monday the 10th instead of Tuesday the 10th. So yeah, so we'll do our best to right that wrong and make sure that everyone has a chance to be heard. The good thing about this, where it's a public participation meeting, it's fairly early in the process, and it'll be about 3 weeks while I'm collecting information. So if there are any of those folks out there who want their opinions to be heard, they've got some time to do that. But we'll just make sure that everyone is aware as much as possible as we go forward. All right. So we're looking at the subdivision bylaw, and again, the purpose of the public participation meeting is to provide an early opportunity for the public to receive information, to discuss and comment on the proposed amendments. So we are open for those discussions as they come. So to talk about the subdivision bylaw, yeah, did we want to push that up to the screen if possible? For those who may be watching at home.
Let's go to present mode.
Present mode? Oh, yes. Look at too many things. So our subdivision bylaw is one of the 3 planning documents we utilize, and it's a regulatory framework that governs how land in town can be subdivided into smaller parcels or consolidated into larger. Its purpose is to ensure that subdivision is conducted in an orderly, fair, and sustainable manner, aligning with the town's goals and long-term planning objectives. Okay. A number of key terms we're looking at with these proposed amendments, mainly the differences between primary and secondary services. So primary services include sanitary sewer, storm sewer, water system and hydrants, water pipe service to the street line and the street itself. And I've indicated the street there because that's where the primary focus for amendments are this evening. Secondary services include the concrete sidewalk, sodding, graded area between curb and sidewalk, street lights, sign standards, and street sign names and walkways. And the last term for reference tonight is the final plans of subdivision. So as part of a subdivision process, an approved final plan of subdivision is a legally binding document and registered with the local land registration office. Must be prepared by a surveyor and requires any assessments from the department agency as determined by the development officer. So the development officer oversees the submission of that final plan of subdivision in the registry. So there's 2 paths for development when we're looking at these primary and secondary services, when that's included in the subdivision process. Option 1, the developer designs and constructs all primary and secondary services, and again indicated here where it's going to differ a little bit in what we're proposing. The second thing is they provide a 1-year maintenance bond based on 10% of the installation costs. Town would then inspect and accept all services if they're up to par. The developer provides deeds then to conveying all title of streets, sidewalks, easements, and dedicated parkland. And then finally, the DO endorses and registers the plan with the LRO. The second option is where the developer would design and construct all primary services. The town would then inspect and accept those primary services. The developer enters into a subdivision agreement, which includes a 1-year maintenance bond, similar to before, at 10% of the installation cost. Secondary service completion date is specified within the subdivision agreement for completion of those secondary services. The developer then provides a maintenance bond, a performance bond of 120% of the estimated cost to install the secondary services. And not lastly, but almost lastly, the developer would provide the deeds conveying all the streets, walks, easements, and dedicated parkland, and then the DO takes that and has it registered. So for multi-phase developments, or those which occur over an extended timeline, the period between the initial construction and the ultimate turnover to the town may result in damage to road surface, curbs, and gutters due to the presence of heavy equipment as part of the construction process. It is then this damage then becomes the town's responsibility to pay for and repair as part of our responsibilities, yes. So what we're looking for in terms of potential amendments is simply to delay the requirement for a street seal coat, which is the top 30 millimeters layer of asphalt, by moving it from primary into secondary servicing item. This would allow the town to take over a road which is in better condition overall. And the second thing is that staff would also recommend that the maintenance bond be extended to 2 years, which is currently 1 year, to help offset any maintenance required over the extended period. So also, we want to run through the next steps of our process. This is on step 2, with public participation meeting. So as I mentioned earlier, that we have a month before the next CAC meeting where we compile any feedback from the public and put it into a report for CAC to consider and then potentially recommend to council for first reading later in March. Like I said, these dates are a little bit fluid depending on the agendas coming up. And then on to public hearing, second reading, and then to an appeals process at the end. And that short and sweet is the end of the report for this evening. I'm happy to take any questions. And again, for members of the public who want to submit questions, we're happy to receive them as we compile that report.
Thank you, Director Shoup. Are there any questions for Director Shoup? Councillor Baker.
Thank you, Director Shoup. Can you go back to the slide, I think it's option 2, where it says the developer designs and constructs primary, and then it says a secondary services completion date. It doesn't say that the developer enters into an agreement to deliver the secondary services. Is that just implied, or?
They would be required to complete the services by that completion date.
All services, primary and secondary?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
And then we hold 120% in a bond to ensure that happens on time.
Got it. Thank you.
Councillor Savage.
Thank you, Your Worship. Director Shoup, while you're on that slide, where it says there, developer provides performance bond 120% of the estimated cost of secondary. Is that, I'm assuming it's 120% because of potential cost overruns?
That's right.
Yep.
And depends on the way the inflation has been working over,
Sure.
especially the past few years, is to try to capture some of that within that, so that we're not paying additionally to complete services.
Okay.
That go above and beyond, yeah.
Okay, I had one other question.
You go ahead.
Was just around if you had consulted any developers with respect to these changes.
We have been speaking with one with regards to a subdivision that's pending for Hebrew Court, namely. Okay. And how the town would be taking over Hebrew Court in the near future. That's the one that I've been familiar with. I mean, there may be others, but
okay.
That's the one more of.
And they're receptive to these?
To my understanding, they are.
Okay.
Some of this works. Dave, did you have a? Sorry.
Maybe he was just leaving.
You're trying to get out.
Not the solicitor.
Okay. No. Yeah. You're good. Fair enough.
This isn't a new thing, it's just more clarification. We've always taken 120% performance.
Oh, and sorry.
It's not new.
Okay, no, that was one question.
So it is clarifying how long, and technically we've been taking it, we haven't been following our own rules. It says we have to currently, if I'm right, Darren, that secondary services do not include that top lift. They are part of the primary. So what we're changing is putting the top lift into secondary, even though for decades now we've been taking a 120% bond.
Okay.
For secondary service, for top lift or seal coat is.
Okay.
As we're, I think Ben
Yep,
used those
seal coat, yep.
words to change. I always say top lift.
Okay.
And I think of inches and not millimeters, but that's that top 1.5. The one that comes to mind now, not Hebrew so much, because we haven't taken Hebrew over, but we have taken over another one in McDougall Heights, that, you know, we took the 120% bond from the developer, and we hold that today.
Okay.
And having conversations with them just last week, they plan to book that to be done this year, and then they'll get their bond back.
I see.
So it isn't a new thing, it's really just making us
Formalizing
follow
it
our,
and.
our rules
yeah.
better, because we were kind of contrary to our own rules, where we were taking bond for something that was, under the current rules, primary, we're making it a secondary
Secondary, okay,
service. So
gotcha, okay, that helps, thank you.
I think so.
Any other questions for Director Shoup? Well, I guess there's no more, Counselor Baker.
My apologies, Mayor. And I apologize, Director, if I've asked this before, but one thing I've learned here is that we're dealing with comparable units. And is this practice comparative among units across our province, and just bringing us up to speed?
To my understanding, this is a fairly common practice to organize it this way. My own, I have limited knowledge on this, but just talking with Director Bell a bit, but it's a fairly common
Okay, thank you.
setup.
Guess there's no more questions, so I guess we accept your report, and
Okay.
that's all the business of this meeting. I'll take, I guess we'll adjourn. I don't think we need a motion to adjourn, but we'll adjourn at 5:15. Thank you.